Have you ever noticed that sometimes, without even trying to or meaning to, people just slowly become what they hate or what they once disliked? It is uncomfortable to admit, because when we were younger, it is always so easy to judge other people and just say that I'll never be like that. I'll never treat people that way, or I'll never turn into them. But in reality, life really has a way of humbling you. You know, the take for example emotional distance. A lot of people grew up frustrated with people who don't reply fast, people who just shut down, people who disappear instead of talking, and it's easy to assume that these people just don't care. But sometimes distance isn't just from the lack of love or the lack of a care. It sometimes comes from not knowing how to express your emotions or being too overwhelmed to even explain them, right? Over time, without even realizing or noticing, people become quieter, slower to respond, or more withdrawn. Not because they want to hurt others, but because they're just struggling to keep up with everything going on in their head. There's this philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche. I know you probably know him already, but he said that be careful when you fight monsters, because you might become one. And when you stare into the abyss stares back at you. At first, this sounds too dramatic, but the idea is simple. The longer someone fights against certain behaviors or things that they do not want, the more life might place them in the same situations where they can finally understand why those people are acting that way. The same thing happens with impatience. People who often dislike those who easily snap, who seem irritated, and who have no patience. It's easy to just say that, right? But see, I used to be like that too. I used to really hate with a burning passion people who were impatient. I just thought they were rude, immature, or mean for no reason. Their life is miserable. But then life got stressful for me. More responsibilities, more pressure, and less rest. And I caught myself getting irritated faster, sighing more, losing patience over the smallest thing I used to just brush off. Not because I wanted to be that person, but because I was more overwhelmed than I realized. I couldn't control my emotions. I don't even know what's going on in my head. How do you expect me to control my emotions? Right? Another example is psychologist Carl Jung, who talked about something called the shadow, which the shadow is pretty much it is made up of the traits of people that they do not like to admit that they have. The parts they judge, deny, or even push away. But ignoring those parts doesn't just make them disappear magically, no. It just means that they show up in the most random of times, show up when you don't expect it. Sometimes the qualities that someone hates the most in others are the ones that they are afraid of seeing in themselves. And that is really what's the most unsettling about this thought, is no one decides they just want to be that person they once hate. Nobody decides that. You don't have a choice. It just gradually happens through stress, through pain, or to the experiences that you eventually come to experience. And when life feels too happy, you just can't control yourself sometimes, you know? And I guess what I can take away from this is just in your life you will always look back, and there's gonna be a quiet thought lingering to your head, and it's just, when did this start? When did I become this? When did I become this person? And I guess I'll leave it at that. When did it start? Thank you for listening.